Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. I couldn't get clear on what day it is, and I feel like it's fuzzy again. Come on, why are we fuzzy? The fuzz factor drives me crazy. So let's tune in on that, and maybe it will bring it back. Okay. So I titled this Embodying Your Personal Compass. And I just feel like I want to come in and share with you and show up and shine a light on the importance of your compass and stepping into that and attaching to it again and again and again. So if you're joining me, come say hello. Hi, Erin. Happy Thursday to you. Hello. How are you doing? Have you been outside? Oh my gosh, I'm headed for a walk after this, and the weather is just making my soul shine with how nice it is right now. So this whole idea of embodying your personal compass, what does that mean? And how do we get to that place? So in order to embody anything, hey Jen, nice to have you here. How are you doing? We're touching quickly on embodying your personal compass, and what does that mean? So I welcome always questions and any thoughts or comments or feedback you have. So I'm just happy to have you here and to see your beautiful faces. And I feel like it's fuzzy. It did this the other day, but I can't tell. Does this look fuzzy to you? Let me see if I can. Here, take a look at that. Isn't that cool, by the way? I made that. It's a paperweight. And maybe it's not so fuzzy. All right, we're going to let it go because I can't control what the fuzz is doing. So let's just chat about this whole embodying your personal compass. When we talk about embodying something, what does that mean? To me, and maybe I should look up the definition, right? Maybe there's an actual definition that would really make this come home. But to me, without even looking up the definition, embodying or embodiment of something means to put on, to take as my own, now I'm just going to look it up quickly because I'm really curious as to what this means. So let's look this up. So the definition of embodiment is a tangible or visible form of an idea, quality, or feeling, the representation or expression of something in a tangible or visual form. So let's see what an embody means: to be an expression of or give a tangible or visible form to an idea, quality, or feeling. So I love that. So I think that my makeup definition of it, where we kind of take it on, and I guess I see, if I were to see embodiment and to see, like visually see the word, I feel like it's putting on a cloak. I feel like it's really owning this, right? It's living in it, it's breathing it, it's existing and having a heartbeat from this place. But in order to be able to embody anything, let alone embodying your personal compass, let alone embodying your alignment, what do you have to do first? Like, there's a giant step prior to that before you can embody anything. You have to take action, but you have to know what it looks like for you. You have to understand what it looks like for you. You have to be really clear on your personal compass. You have to be really aware of your personal compass. You have to be aware of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And this is where it gets messy, I think, for some people, is there's all of these ideas swirling around. There's people out there telling you that this is the way and this is the path to a life that's going to fill you up the most. And this is how you're supposed to live, and this is what you're supposed to do in order to get healthy, and this is what you're supposed to do in order to be happy. And there's all of these shoulds in there, And depending on our filters, depending on our human design, depending on how we're living, depending on who we trust, we're going to hear some of those things and take it on, right? We're going to take it on. We're going to live with it. We're going to make choices that may or may not serve us. And maybe some of those things are really good for us, but maybe they're not. And so to me, it's so important that we practice, obviously, prior to this full-on embodiment. Because to me, the embodiment of something is really letting it wash over you. It's really allowing that to be the physical manifestation, the physical expression of this thing that you've been practicing, of this fill in the blank. And so where I'm going with this is to really recognize and understand the concept, and we've touched on it here, but I haven't hammered it home, and I haven't spent a ton of time on it, and maybe it's worth spending some time on, is this concept of bioindividuality. It's really easy to get caught up in what someone else is doing and what's working for someone else. And it's easy to get caught up in that and make the expectation or make the ruling that, well, if that's working that way for them, then I'm going to also do that, and it's going to work for me. And maybe it will. Maybe for a short time it does. Maybe it serves you. Maybe it's perfect for you. But maybe not at all. Maybe not a piece of it works for you. And then you find yourself pushing against this thing that is supposed to work for you. They preach about it, they talk about it, they live and breathe this, and I trust them, or I respect them, or I like them, or I want what they've experienced. And so then we turn against everything within us, everything that innately we know to be our truth. We turn against that, and we push and we push and we push. Meanwhile, if we would just press pause, if we would just take a step back, if we would just lean back, and by leaning back, we lean into our truth. By pressing pause, we allow ourselves to hear what is going on for us. By pressing pause, we allow the chatter maybe to slow, so we can hear another option that really resonates with us, that really aligns to us. And yet we're so quick to move past the work because we want to embody the thing. And what we don't realize then is that because we move so quickly past the work, that we are then embodying the wrong thing. And let's touch on that word wrong here for a moment, because I don't believe that it's wrong per se, but it's not the most accurate or most correct for us. I don't believe there are wrong things. I believe that everything is always an opportunity to guide us to the perfect thing for us. Because if it's not that thing, and let's say I'm embodying whatever it is that's not working for me, in that embodiment of it, I will feel if it's working for me or not. I'll know if it's working for me or not based on my alignment, based on how it makes me feel. Does it make me, if this is neutral, does the embodiment of that piece make me feel higher, more connected, more aligned, more tuned in, more tapped in, more turned on? Or does it make me feel maybe flat, so maybe I remain neutral? Or does it even bring me down some? Maybe it makes me feel frustrated. Maybe it makes me feel disappointed. Maybe it makes me feel bitter. Because I'm doing the things, but I'm not having their experience. And I know for a long time that was my case. I would do these things that everyone says, and by everyone, right? What does everyone actually mean? It's like 3 people. But I would do these things that other people, trusted resources, trusted friends, trusted teachers, fill in the blank, I would do the thing that they're telling me to do. So I'm embodying that piece, that component. Yet because it wasn't part of my true north, because it wasn't part of my personal compass, even though I lived and breathed it and took it on, and it was supposed to lead me to the goodness, it didn't. And not only did it not lead me to it, but it took me further away from my own. Think of it like, sometimes the analogies just kind of pop in and they just like, say this, Jen, this is what you need to say right now. So I want you to think of a wishbone. And at the top of the wishbone where the two pieces are connected, think of the top of that wishbone. So you're at the top of this wishbone and you're in the process of making a decision, right? And let's say that you see someone that you like, you know, you respect, you trust, whatever it is, and they're telling you to go down this path, right? Oh, you want more of this in your life. Go down this path and you will have more of this in your life. Fill in the blank for this. And also at the top of that wishbone is this other path, this more unknown path, this path that says, if you follow me, if you follow this, you're going to be satisfied. But this path isn't as well lit. This path, you can't tell. You don't know what it means. You don't know where it's going. The other path is completely lit. The other path is a complete road. You can see all of it. And you assume that because you can see all of it, it must be a better path. Because this other path is only a step. And you, in your mind, you believe that you need all of the steps. You need all of the things out in front of you in order for it to be a good path. And so you're on your wishbone journey and you choose the fully lit path. You choose to follow the path that's been fully lit by someone else, bless their hearts. And not that they have any ill intention, right? That's not what we're talking about here. They have the best of intentions in mind. I know this because I lived this, I did this, I said these things. And they have the best of intentions in mind. They have this fully lit path for you. You choose this path because it's laid out for you and you can see all of the pieces ahead of time. And you get down that path and now you're down the side of the wishbone, right? You're down the side of the wishbone. So at the top of that wishbone, if it's up here and you've chosen this side, if it's up here, you're far closer to your personal compass, to your personal alignment. Jen, I'm going to come back to your statement in just a moment. So here, you're really close to your personal alignment. As you move down the path, so you're moving down this path, the path that's fully lit. As you move down, if this is the top, right, where they're joined, as you move down a little bit, you're still pretty close to your alignment, right? You're not fully down that path yet. You're not fully steeped into it. And the journey from here up to the other side, it's not that far yet. But because your alignment is only, in this example, only a little bit away, you disregard that little feeling within you. You disregard that little nudge that says, I don't think this is right. And you're like, shh, we're on the path. We've paid the money. We're doing the thing. We're going to move forward. We're going to keep going. Shh. And you disregard it. And then you get a little further down. And maybe there's a little niggle of a health issue. Maybe you're having, I don't know, trouble sleeping. Maybe you have this thing in your body, something. And another little, like, trying to get your attention. But you don't make that connection. Because now you're getting further away from your alignment. You're getting further away from your path, from your personal compass. And the more that you're getting further away, the more you are embodying their path, right? Does that make sense? So the more that you go down this side of the wishbone, the more you are embodying and owning and taking that on as your own. And the more that you embody and take that on as your own, the further away you get from your alignment, from your personal compass, from your true north. And then it takes that much more work to come back, to release that, to admit that you were wrong. Again, there's that word wrong. To admit that you were wrong. I spent that money when maybe I should have listened to this instead. And hopefully, at some point, you recognize, wow, I need to turn back. I have to turn back. Somewhere along the way, I stopped listening to me. Somewhere along the way, I stopped listening to me. So I turn back. And as you turn back, you notice that it starts to feel a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And then you come back up to the top of that wishbone and you look at that other path, and hopefully you don't see a different leg of the wishbone come in with another option outside of you, but rather you say, you know what? It might only be one step on the path, but I'm going to take that one because that one feels good. Aligning to your personal compass is that one step at a time. One step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. It's a practice again and again and again and again and again until you know your side of the wishbone so well that you fully embody it and bring it on. And even in that full embodiment of it, you're still going to find yourself questioning or wavering or wondering, because none of us live in alignment 24 hours a day. None of us. We practice, we get closer, we return to it faster, but we don't live from that space 24 hours a day. That's why we practice again and again and again. That's why we do the work again and again and again. That's why we show up in a space like this where you are fully supported and seen as you, so that you can continue down your side of the wishbone. That's why with the gratitude practice, this 30 days of gratitude, I'm not telling you what to be grateful for. That would be the fully lit side of the path. If I were coming in every day and told you, if you were grateful for this today, be grateful for this today because it's going to lead you here. Instead, what are we doing? I'm encouraging you to find your gratitude so that you can take one more step down your side of the wishbone. Awesome. Okay, Jen, let me read what you are sharing. Bioindividuality is one of the most important concepts I've learned from you, Jen. I can see the clearest path to my personal compass via that concept. Anytime I push to do something that feels off, but I'm supposed to do in order to get XYZ result, I fail and beat myself up for it. Bioindividuality is an empowering and loving practice for me. I love it. Me too. Jen, me too. So can I speak into... I'm going to take this, so I'm just going to take this as you are okay with me speaking into this and sharing a couple thoughts with you. And if you're not, please write that you're not, and I will cancel immediately. But in the meantime, here's what I'm going to say, because maybe if you don't want to hear it, someone else will want to hear it. The thing that I want you to notice here, so there's so much good in this, and I could do the whole Oreo cookie coach thing and like give you the good and then give you the piece I want you to take a peek at and then give you more good. But I'm going to trust that you'll be able to hold this from me just diving right into the juicy, smooth, delicious cream filling. This whole beating myself up for it because we fall off our path or we choose something else, and then we we beat ourselves up, right? You are not the only one, which I know you know that, and I talk about it in my book. There's a chapter in there called, I can't remember. I feel like maybe I should remember, but I don't remember what it's called. But there's a chapter in the book where I touch specifically on this, and it's either chapter 8 or 9, and I don't recall if you have the book. If you don't, no big deal. But it's either chapter 8 or 9. So chapter 8 is filling the gap, and chapter 9 is taming the snark. And here's what I want to say to this. So in your example here, Jen, you have sometimes, right? And we all do this. But in this example, you take that other path, right? And you're down here, and then you realize, and you're like, shoot, this isn't working. And in that moment, so we talk about this to expand it out. There's the concept around awareness and consistency. So awareness, you've heard me say this time and time again, that awareness is huge. And there's a new phrase that I'm loving that I'm bringing forward a lot with clients and teaching is deliberate awareness. So it's one thing to have the awareness, but I really want us to talk a little deeper, and a slight shift in that is to have deliberate awareness. So we have this awareness, and then we have awareness around anything that we want to shift or anything that we want to change. And then the next piece to that, we know this, the next piece to make that change is consistency. Another word for consistency might be habit. Just one word to fill in the blank. It could be repetition, but it's this consistent, new, different action than what you used to take because you want a different result, right? So we have awareness, we have consistency, and then there's this in between. It's this gap, filling the gap. And this filling the gap is where you've noticed, you've had the awareness that, shoot, in this case, I'm not on the right path, and I need to be on the right path. I want to be on the right path. I need to make a change to be on the right path. So there's this gap in between, and most of the time, you've hit the nail on the head that most of the time in this gap, we go into beat ourselves up mode because that's what's been taught to us. That's been what's been witnessed to us because no one's taught us another way. We know that we have to have awareness. We know that we have to do things differently if we want to change our lives, but who's talking about this secret ingredient right in the middle? And it's where we have to tame the snark. It's where we have to take this snarky bee and say, you know what? I'm going to celebrate the awareness. And instead of beating myself up in the moment that I notice this, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate having the awareness because if I have this awareness now and I celebrate it, I'm not going to be afraid. Unconscious me, little me, isn't going to be afraid to come back sooner and show me when I'm not aware. If I celebrate, she's going to be more willing to show up again and say, wait a minute, here we go again. But if I beat her up, who wants to experience that? We're going to go in hiding, and if I'm beating myself up, then I'm going to go in hiding, and instead of showing back up here and making a change quicker, it's going to come slower because I don't want to be beat up. But if I'm celebrated and honored and not called a failure again, I'll notice it faster, I'll be able to shift it, I'll be able to climb back up that path faster and make a change, course correct, and tune into my alignment, tune into my bio-individuality. So the languaging here is really important. This, anytime we're moving from point A to point B, if B isn't our natural yet, if that's not our consistent yet, we have to be mindful of that in between. And the best thing that we can do during that in between is kindness. It's compassion. It's grace. It's thank you for giving me this awareness, because now I can make a new choice in this moment. So a real-time example, let's say you're doing your best to release weight. And let's say that one of your habits has been, you stand in front of the fridge and you open it and there's nothing to eat, yet you find something and you take it and you eat it anyway, right? So let's say you're in the middle of eating ice cream. I don't know, take your pick. Let's say you're eating the ice cream, even though you know that having that excess amount of it or whatever, there's a lot of circumstances around this. So I kind of wish I wouldn't have used this as an example, because it's deeper than this, right? It might not be as cut and dry and simple, but you'll get the picture. So let's say you're in the middle of eating the ice cream, even though you've told yourself, I don't want to do this. But you find yourself in the middle of eating the ice cream. What's the default? What if we taught ourselves to be the default? So the real key here is, let's live by design rather than by default. Because the default is, there you go again, loser. There you go again, fat cow. There you go again, fill in the blank. Nasty comment. Typically not nice. And instead, you're taking a bite, right? You're mid-bite. You've already worked your way through a portion of that pint of ice cream. And you're mid-bite and the light bulb goes off. Bing! Wait a minute. I don't want to be doing this because I committed to XYZ instead. That's the moment of choice. That's the moment of, okay, I've had the awareness. Now the real question is, how am I going to respond? Bing, light bulb goes off. Am I snarky? Or am I kind and gracious and treating myself with, let's even call it kid gloves? So instead of saying, wow, there you go, loser, told ya, you'll never figure it out, fat cow, fill in the blank. I hate those statements. It just makes me cringe thinking them, because I don't want you thinking that about yourself. And that's for any of us here, right? Whatever that statement is. Or do you, wow, okay, I'm going to put this down. Wow, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for giving me that awareness. Thank you for allowing me to see it mid-action, because now I can change it. I can change my mind. I can choose differently. I can stand in the version of me that is aligned. And this is what she would do. An aligned version of me would put this away, put it back in the freezer, grab some water. I might even also ask, wow, is there something else I need in this moment? Do I need a phone call? Do I need to do I need to talk to someone? Maybe I just need to go to bed. Do I need a nap? Maybe I need a walk. The aligned version of me would tune in and find out what I actually need. And in that moment of kindness and compassion and grace, we're rewriting the story. And then what happens next time? Let's say that time you were halfway through the pint and you noticed, right? Next time, let's say you're a quarter way through the pint and you notice. And let's say that time you also take the compassionate road. Kindness, grace, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Look at, it's getting better. It's getting better. I'm so proud of you for making this awareness and seeing this that much sooner. An aligned version of me, and then you run through that. And then before you know it, instead of forcing yourself to release it, you've celebrated yourself and you've honored it. So before you know it, you don't even go to pick it up. Not as an immediate response. Because you've chosen to be compassionate, because you've chosen to be kind. because you've chosen to recognize and give grace. None of us, I mean, think of when you were little. If you were yelled at, you might have listened in that moment because you were so afraid of what repercussion might happen. But what if someone came to you and instead of yelling at you, what if they treated you with kindness? What if they treated you like a real person with real emotions and real experiences and talked to you about why you were acting a certain way? It would be a completely different conversation. And I want to encourage you that it's no different as adults. We feel like it is. We feel like we can push through it. We feel like we can let it go because we're older now and we have control. But within all of us is still this little person that really just wants to be treated with kindness and compassion and grace. All right. So we started on embodying your personal compass. We detoured a little bit, yet hopefully you can see how it's all totally connected, because we're all going to detour. The question isn't whether or not you're going to take a detour. The question is, how are you going to handle it when you do? How are you going to handle that in between? Are you going to choose to be snarky and to beat yourself up, or can you experiment with choosing kindness and grace and notice how it's going to show up for you even faster? Recognizing that it's not a fail, it's just one thing that doesn't work for you, and now you have that. Thank you for that awareness. Now I know that doesn't work. I'm going to do this instead. And you take that path with just the one light on it. Because once you take that step, Martin Luther King Jr. has a great quote, and I have it in my little book. I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of, you don't need to see the whole staircase in order to take the first step. We trust that the stairs will unfold. We trust that the road in front of us at night when it's dark and our headlights can only see a certain distance in front of us, we trust that that's going to unfold. And when we're living from our place of alignment, when we're living from our personal compass, when we are doing the work to embody what works for us because we've tapped into bio-individuality, because we've chosen to practice, when we're doing that, we can be assured that the road in front of us is always going to unfold perfectly and divinely beautifully for us. And it may look completely different than anything we ever planned or expected. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any thoughts or comments or feedback, please let me know. And if you're watching on replay and you have questions or comments, type in a replay and ask away, and I would love to answer and share with you and support you. And I'm going to send you big love, because there's a lot of feelings and emotions and things that people are experiencing. So I'm going to send you big love, and I hope you have a beautiful afternoon. And if your weather where you're at is as gorgeous as my weather here, I would encourage you to get outside as well. So big love. Have a beautiful afternoon. We'll talk soon.